Great, I think we're up and running. Welcome everyone to the latest Hangout, Power Play Chess Hangout. This is a monthly show and basically we can just talk about anything you like really, in terms of chess, of course. So welcome everyone. Let me tell you what we're going to be doing tonight. Let me just make sure I can see the chat as well. Hang on. There we go. I can see the chat. That's good. So yeah, welcome everyone. Tonight I wanted to show you a couple of puzzles, but mainly I want to look through a couple more games of Bobby Fischer, as that seems to be creating lots of interest on the channel. So yeah, look out for those. We've got 2 games of Bobby Fischer, which, well, one of them was requested and one I just kind of picked out of the air, which, there we are. So I can see everyone on the chat. Graham Jennings, greetings from sunny Nottingham. Fantastic. Greetings to you in, well, rather cloudy London at the moment. I think we should have a prize for the person that is furthest from where I'm broadcasting. So if you think, okay, so far, so we have Vihari Vemuri in India. So you win the prize for the furthest distance. If anyone can beat India, which is, I don't know, how far is that? 7,000 or 8,000 miles, probably. Hello from East London. Well, culturally, it's a long way from Teddington. Yeah, we've got more from India. If anyone can beat India, let me know. Okay, I think I should show you my first puzzle. Serbia, Belaglavi, yeah, hi, that's good, good distance. Let me fish up a position and we'll get going. So something really simple to start. Oh, we have Wout Greiters from Amsterdam. Yeah. Just a moment, folks, while I get position on the board. I'm just shuffling lots of windows around. You can't see it, but I'm actually surrounded by computers and microphones and lights and books, papers. I've even got a chess set here. I'm going to show that to you. There we go. An actual little pocket chess set. I rather like that one, actually. I like the red pieces. That's my trusty chess set, which I like to analyze on. Oliver Otterson, hello from Berlin. Well, as you know, I was in Berlin a few weeks ago, and yeah. Oh, I think we might have a winner. We have David Esotika, who says hello from Australia, and it's 4 a.m. Fantastic. And we got Borshevsky is in Canada, but I think Australia takes it at the moment. So whereabouts in Australia is my question. Okay, while you're considering the answer, I'm going to share a board. So 1 second. Hopefully I can do this. Here we go. Oh, Gus says greetings from Palestine, Gaza. Well, that is very special. Okay, greetings to you in Gaza. And David Esotika is in Melbourne. Fantastic. I've never been to Melbourne. I've been to Sydney a couple of times and Brisbane and Adelaide, but no, I haven't been to Melbourne yet. Okay, here's your first puzzle, everyone. So this was played in the Grenka Chess Open. And the last move was Rook F1. Monkey Shoulder says, I've just bought your book. How good is your chess? Not very good, I'm afraid. Well, I can tell you that's a very, very old book. It's now 25 years old. And I think Standards have moved on. Let's put it like that. I'm sorry you didn't like it. What didn't you like exactly? I'm curious to know. I agree. It's compared to things I've written since, it's not so sophisticated, but I still quite like it. What didn't you like, Monkey Shoulder? You can't just leave me hanging. Okay, I should turn to David Esotika, who wants to play G4 check. Well done. Excellent move. And so does Synthcliff in East London. Tim says he means his chess isn't good. Thank you. Someone's sticking up for me. Okay, king takes pawn. Johnny Bruce says the book's fine. Oh, I'm feeling the love. I'm feeling the love. Then rook g8 check. Well done, Synthcliff. And I'm going to bring the king back. Oh, Monkey Shoulder says, I loved it. I meant my chess is not very good. Okay. Thanks. You rescued it. Okay, Synthcliff and David Estatica in Australia. Do you want to finish this one off? Rook h4. Well done, Coyotes in Oslo. You see, I like this. We're bringing the world together. It's beautiful. And rook h4 just does the job. Yes, that's rather an attractive checkmate. Or king takes and laser beam checkmate. Love it. Excellent. Okay, well, that was very simple. That was way too easy. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to plunge straight into this game of Fishers. And this was requested. In fact, I can see who requested it. Tim Worrell, there we go. This is one of your requests. I think it was yours. It is the game. Hang on a second. It's the game between Bobby Fischer and Borislav Ivkov, played in the Piatigorsky Cup in 1966. So this is a very, very strong tournament. Somewhere in that bookshelf, I have the tournament book. I wonder if I can see it. But I didn't consult the tournament book when I was going through this game. Maybe I should have done. Now just let me see if I can find it. Wait a second. It's in here somewhere. There we go. Found it. Second Piatigorsky Cup, Santa Monica, California, August 1966. There you go. I do have the book, but I'm afraid I didn't look at the annotations, which was a blunder. I should have done, because it would have been very interesting. I'll try and find it, actually. Okay, Tim. He says he's going to have to be quiet as he knows all the moves. Well, I'd appreciate that. But it's interesting to go through games again. Of course, this is a very well-known game. But yeah, I think we learn a lot. Anjanai says, last time in March, you told us that you're writing a book and you didn't tell us anything about the books. So can we know the release date and the name of the book? No. There we are. Still under my hat. I'm trying to find this. What round was it in? Round 12. That's good. That helps me. Here we go. I think I'm just kind of increasing the tension by doing this. Oh, here we go. Right, so this is annotation. I'm really glad I fished this book out. Because we now have Ivkov annotated the game. He annotates his own loss. Theodore Raz says, hi from Madagascar. Yeah, David Esatika asks, is there a book that analyzes Fischer's return in 1970 up to the candidates till 1972? And Tim Worrell says Kasparov's book does that. Okay. Right, well, let's get cracking. So Fischer opened with e4, best by test. And against e6, he didn't go in for an open Sicilian. Ivkov says, against Fischer up to now, I've tried all possible defenses, French, Caracan, Rai Lopez, and now it's the turn for the Sicilian. A very weak position in the tournament standings has forced me to this step. And this is an interesting moment. After d3, Ivkov writes, tremendous, psychologically a masterstroke. All prepared variations, analysis, and psychological preparations for the Sicilian can be completely discarded after the third move. No board. Yeah, I forgot to share a board. Sorry about that. We're still here. But that already is a fascinating comment from... Oh, that's not right. Hang on. Let's try that. Okay, here we go, folks. So after d3, Ivkov says, tremendous, psychologically a masterstroke. All prepared variations, analysis, and psychological preparations for the Sicilian can be completely discarded after the third move. Well, of course, Fischer was no stranger to playing the King's Indian attack, but usually the open with d4 was his thing. What book am I reading from, Bob Dole? As I just announced about 2 minutes ago, it's the second Piatigorsky Cup, the tournament book, edited by Isaac Kashtan, and there are annotations by many of the players. And this game is annotated by the loser, Borislav Ivkov, who was one of the strongest players in Yugoslavia, just behind Gligoric. Those were the preeminent players in the post-war period, Gligoric and Ivkov. I once played Ivkov, actually, in Lugano in 84, 86, something like that. He didn't annotate that game, and neither did I. Paul Google says, I guess Fischer figured it's not fun to get into the pin variation. I think Fischer would have been delighted to see a pin variation. By the way, this system with knight e7, it is pretty reliable for black. I think this is certainly one of the better ways to play against the King's Indian attack. On one of my DVDs, I recommended this system. Of course, the old main line is fine, but g6 is very interesting. Because what you're doing is you're discouraging white from playing e5. Because if e5, then of course there are just too many pieces on that pawn. It's going to drop. Let's turn it red, an embarrassed pawn. So I think the advantage of playing like this is that it cuts across white systems. Very often you'll find that a lot of King's Indian attack players, they play in a very one-track way. And if you prevent what they're trying to do with e5, then it really throws them. So maybe Ivkov had that in mind when he played like this. So all normal so far. Now I need to find some moves. Hang on. I'm just shuffling some windows and books and things. So Fischer played knight h4. Bob Dole asked, do you think Sam Shanklin will reach Super GM level, or maybe you already consider him so? Maybe he'll play in more top tournaments or not strong enough yet. I think, I mean, Sam has obviously had massive improvement recently. My phone is going. I'm going to have to stop that, unfortunately. He's had massive improvements recently. It's whether he can sustain this level. And if he can, then yeah, he could go far. I like his attitude at the board, and he works extremely hard, which is a necessary ingredient to becoming a top player. So let's see. He has potential. It's all we can say at the moment. I like Sam. He's a nice guy. My phone is going crazy. Okay. Sorry, I'm going to have to turn it off. So, Ivkov played b6 now. And Ivkov says this is the beginning of a bad plan. I don't think it's that bad. I think b6 is okay. But certainly b5 is more aggressive and takes the fight to white. I think this is quite a good way of playing the position, just to counter white in the center and on the queen side. I don't think b6 is so bad at all. f4, so clearly this is the point of playing the knight out to h4. Sorry, folks, let me just adjust things a moment. And now Ivkov took on e4, which seems slightly odd to me. I've got to say, I wouldn't want to give up my center. I mean, it seems better to do something like f6. But anyway, he did this, bishop a6. Okay, now, question for you. What did you do next? What did Ivkov do next, and what do you think he should play? Because I could play through this game and say, yeah, Fischer played a wonderful game and he blew away his opponent. But actually, of course, it's not that clear. Remember, it's black to play. We're looking for a black move, not a white move. Black to play. Yeah, e5. e5, I think, is the best move here, because white's threat of playing e5 himself is quite serious. And e5 is not a beautiful move because, of course, it leaves this square a bit weak, but it's not so bad. And actually, this has since been played. After f5, how should black play here? Over to you again. Boyan Maximovich wants to play something. How? Not sure about knight d4. It's just c3. Boots that away. But after f5, what are we going to do about that one? No. Knight b4, that seems a bit odd because I can just drive that away. So no, not that one. Yes, Ewan Wilson says f6. Yeah, f6 is a good move because actually white is threatening this to break up the pawns and then queen h5 and so on, and that is rather strong. So you have to play f6 here. And yeah, things aren't. I don't think it's so bad. Perhaps we could do this. That gets taken, and now gain a bit of space. I think black is all right here. So even though I'm not too keen on giving up the center in this way, in fact, I think that's an important move, e5. Okay, moving on. But Ivkov played instead c4. Now, white to play. What are you going to do now? White to play. c3 has been offered. Yeah, c3 just seems like a good move to me. It's important to control the d4 square. Oops, that was e4. d4 here. But also, having blocked that pawn, it makes this bishop look pretty silly. So c3 is an excellent move. And then knight a5. I think the reason that Ivkov is playing this is so that he can bring his bishop back into the game. But, I mean, this knight is also pretty bad. So black's minor pieces just look absolutely awful. So this is the game continuation. Okay, after this, let me see, knight d5 happened. And now white's next move. What are you going to do now? Seems as though black has gained some ground in the center, but actually it's not so clear. Ivkov, the question is, what does Ivkov say about his c4 move? Well, he doesn't like it. He thought he should play e5 instead. Yes, indeed. Knight e4 is the obvious move. And white already has a very fine position. As Ivkov says, his white's game is playing itself. And now queen h5. It's a really beautiful position. Very, very simple to play. Okay, what happens if I play this move? Over to you. It's white to play again. Well, someone was saying plan of what about queen g4 and knight f6? Well, f6 is pretty well covered and I can always move the king in the corner. Queen h5 is actually more effective. Knight g5 has been suggested. Well, I know this looks a bit drastic, but actually I think, no, this is probably a good move. After taking here, then actually white's attack has rather been blunted. Ed Morel says, I saw knight e4 and I'm dreadful. Of course I'm reading this chat. That's the whole point. Knight e7. Yeah, I think now white's attack has just been blunted. So after I trade these bishops, suddenly the whole thing has switched around to black's favor. So let's go back. That's not too good. f5. Yes. That's got to be the move, because we unleash the beast on c1. That's one thing. I dare say we're threatening, well, possibly knight g5, probably f6, just to break up the position. And if pawn takes pawn, then the knight comes here. I mean, this looks absolutely terrible for black. And otherwise, bishop takes, and then knight d6. Looks pretty fantastic. They're all heading in the right direction. There's problems here. Problems everywhere. Okay, let's go back. So this position, after queen h5, Ivkov played knight e7. Riaz Ali asks, what happens if white tips up the table, scattering all the pieces, and walks off into the sunset humming Making Your Mind Up by Bucks Fizz? Yeah. I think he'd be criticised for his musical choice. Daniel Johnston asks, Danny, if you were trying to beat Fischer today as white, what opening would you play? That's a very theoretical question. Riaz Ali. Of course I'm going to read that one out. Okay, knight f6 has been suggested. Yeah, really? Does that work? Okay, so let me take and take. So you want to play queen h6 and give checkmate. Yeah, but why am I not convinced about this? First of all, I'm going to take there. That's why I'm not convinced. Knight f6 looks like a punt in a blitz game. So if king takes, then I've got queen d5 check. Thank you very much, trading the queens. If knight takes, got knight f5 followed by queen f6. I could also play simply knight g6 actually. And if queen h6, take there. Afraid knight f6 was just a random punt. Got to calculate, folks. Not that one. Let me see. We have Terra K wants to play rook d1. Yeah, well, it seems to me that is well motivated. Attacking the queen. Probably queen e8 actually, because that introduces some interesting defensive possibilities with f5. That's actually quite well known in these positions where there's the face-off between two queens. So maybe not rook d1. Although I dare say that knight d6 must... Whoops, I can't even play the move. I dare say that knight d6 is still a very good move. Yeah, but it's not so clear. It's not quite so clear as one would wish. Let's take that. And we can plonk a knight on d5. No. This all gone wrong. Not that one. Oh, then you want to play, I see, someone's saying then knight f6. Right, that's an improvement. That's a huge improvement. Okay, we'll play this one anyway. Oh, but still. King takes. Let's give a check. And let's say king there, and I'll play knight f. Okay, this one's looking bad. Any defense? Probably king h8. Yep, that will do. Or maybe rook. No, king h8 is fine. Yeah, Dark says, well, in the worst case, black can defend by king h8 and rook g8, giving back the knight, I guess. Exactly. Seems to be that everyone is rushing it a little bit. Let's go back. So all very rushed. All those sacrificial lines seem to just bring black pieces into the game. Got to be a little bit careful. Paul Smith wants to play queen g4. I've got a pair of boots by you, Paul Smith. Yeah, but after queen g4, I mean, I don't. It seems to me it's a sort of one move threat. I just move away, so I don't quite get that. David Esotica says f5 is good. Well, possibly, but possibly not. I don't know. If I just take this. Oh, do you want to play bishop g5? Is this your merry game? Maybe. I'm not convinced by this, actually. This doesn't look quite right. I mean, bishop e7 is possible. Even f6. No, don't like that. Right, Ewan Wilson and Zia and Sridhar are suggesting g4, and g4 was the move that Bobby played. Well done. I should also mention that a simple move like bishop e3 is also very strong. Really simple. Just to exchange off that bishop, and that will allow at some moment that knight to come into d6, and also brings queen's rook into play. But g4 played. Ivkov says, black has made many errors, and this could not pass unpunished against Fischer. A horrible storm is brewing over the residence of the Black Monarch. Defenses are dropping away from the Black Fortress as if a tornado is passing over. Well, this is poetic stuff from Ivkov. I love it. Yes, now f5 is a very serious threat. Bishop takes knight, hacking off at least that dangerous piece and here. And now Zia says, I think he lost because he was enjoying it. Fantastic. And now Ivkov says he played knight d5. But I think his position is dreadful now. Well, anyway, knight d5 played, and f5. Yeah, incidentally, after king h8, you can just play here with the idea of knight g5, and this is pretty awful. Beautiful position. The great thing is that black simply can't use any of these squares on the d file. They're all covered, and this knight is a million miles away. And of course, it makes no sense in taking this rook at all. Just keep the pieces on the king side. Anyway, knight d5, f5 played. And rook here. This is forlorn. And this one isn't too tricky. Sorry, I just saw your comment. Tim Morrill says on black's 17th, was knight g6 better? Knight g6, that's a good question. Yes, it certainly looks more resilient, doesn't it? What would we do? Yeah, it looks like a much better move to me. Much better move. So if knight g5 here, I was just looking at things like knight e6, but then queen h4 is a bit annoying, or indeed very annoying. So we won't do that. And otherwise, yeah, not too good. So would we, and what about, yeah, f5 again, queen h4. Oh, we've got someone screaming knight g6 here. Knight g6, is that possible here? And then what? I thought that just lost a piece. Entropical nature. Explain your double exclamation mark for knight g6. What's that about? It's losing a piece. That's why I didn't want to do it. Someone's saying simply knight takes, and here, and then knight g5. Yeah, that's possible. Although f6. But the other thing is, what about f takes g6? It seems to me that black is still in the game here. So let me go back. I think the best move is to play, yes, knight here. Is that possible? I think it is possible because after this, there's no serious incursion there. That's okay. And otherwise, I think we're now threatening to play f5. Someone's saying knight f7 instead of all that. Hang on, I'm darting between different variations. Yeah, but knight f7, then... that's a better way of doing it. Yes. No, it isn't. It's just as bad. That's what I saw before, because the queen threatens the rook here. Knight g6 is very interesting. Riaz asks, here's a deep question. Well, I think I'll be the judge of that, whether it's deep or not. Apart from Fischer's obvious skill at chess, do you think he remains popular because of his quirky, arguably endearing, slightly odd, and anarchic personality? Yes, I think you're probably right. I think you're probably right, because he was such a maverick. Then someone's saying knight h6 here. Really? Really? And then what? Everyone's trying to give up pieces unnecessarily. I'm afraid I'm not going to have it. It's not working. Well, IPew Disciple says that's also why he remains unpopular. Yeah, I think I should stress, because this is something that this has been mentioned on the channel. People saying, Fischer was disgraceful, anti-Semitic, and these terrible outbursts he had. Graham Jennings says, well, indeed, here we go, anti-Semitic and paranoid. Yeah. I think we have to state very plainly how abhorrent many of the things he came out with were, and that's very important to say that. But at the same time, I think it's very important to say that he was mentally ill for much of his life, and I'm not excusing what he said. I'm just trying to explain it, and I think only after doing that can we appreciate his chess, because it's his chess that is absolutely fantastic. And I feel very sorry for him. I think it's a tragedy that he was very disturbed and mentally ill. So here we go. Knight g6 looks like a much tougher defense to me, but I'm pretty sure knight f3 looks like a good way to continue for white. Riaz says, having spent 20 plus years working on mental health wards in the UK as my day job, I do feel he was schizophrenic, and because of my working life, do have empathy and compassion for him. There we go, Riaz, excellent. Let's continue with the game. G4. Boyan Maximovich says there's a great movie about Fischer called Pawn Sacrifice. Yeah, I haven't actually seen that, but actually the film that is brilliant on Fischer is Bobby Fischer Against the World, which is a fantastic documentary. So this is the game continuation. ABC 1952 says everyone is mad. Difference is quantitative. No, I'm afraid I disagree with you on that one. You're trying to draw some kind of moral equivalence between the kind of things that Fischer said and, well, normal, decent society, and I don't draw any kind of moral equivalence at all with his outbursts. Okay, here we go. Let's finish this game off. Knight takes g6. Well, obviously, this is absolutely catastrophic after this. And rook f1. And the game finished. Queen here. Knight b4. And knight f6. This is not too difficult. And the game finished like this. And one final trick, of course, if rook takes queen, then rook here, but Fischer played f7. And if queen takes, then bishop there, check and mate. There we go. So let me get out of that. Back again. Fantastic. At the end of that, I'm still quoting from Ivkov in the second Piatigorsky Cup. He says, a fast victory for the American champion, and for me, the weakest game in a long period of time. Thank you for reminding me about that book. Yeah, but it was a really poor game by Ivkov. But isn't it funny how, just like many strong players, Fischer had this extraordinary effect on his opponents, and you can say the same about Carlsen and Kasparov. Somehow their opponents were affected, and they often just crumbled. It was something special, but also, as Ivkov said, d3, this move d3 in the opening, psychologically, this threw him completely. He simply wasn't expecting it. And Carlsen also has the ability to do this as well, that Carlsen chooses opening variations which are particularly uncomfortable for his opponent. Right. David Esatika in Melbourne asks, how do you think Fischer would have played the Berlin to his e4 and also bishop b5 to his Najdorf? Can you do a video about that? Well, actually, I recorded 3 videos, I think 3, certainly 2 videos on how Fischer faced the Berlin. Maybe it was only 1 video. Anyway, I tackled that. Fischer faced the Berlin variation in the Spanish on 3 occasions. in his career. And the first one was when he was very, very young, in I think the first interzonal he played. And it flummoxed him completely. Then he played someone in an open tournament in the States and crushed them. His opponent played very poorly. But he played against Bisgeier in one of the US championships. And Arthur Bisgeier was the great exponent of the Berlin in America for decades. And Fischer did not get a very good position against it. I think Fischer would have been very principled and played into the end game. That's my feeling. Anjanaya asks, are you a juggler? Because I can see tennis balls there. Yeah. They're not tennis balls, but I juggle. There you go. There's something you didn't know about me. I can juggle. It's true. Tim Worrell asks, so Dan, question number one from me. If you could wish for Smyslov's perfect technique or Tal's amazing combinative ability, which would you choose? Tricky one. Might go with Smyslov. Smooth, man, smooth. Ewan Wilson asks, do you think that the King's Indian attack is a good system to beat weaker players? It seems like defense requires some accuracy. I mean, the King's Indian attack is pretty well known these days. The great advantage of playing it is that it's a system that you can play with white, where you can play the first 10 moves and not really have to think very deeply. So it avoids a lot of theory. However, as I said, there are a lot of very respectable lines that are now quite well known for white. And like Fischer, you have to pick your opponent. You have to know when to play it. Of course, it's a very respectable opening. Number 44 asks a very good question. Do you consider juggling a sport or an art? I would say it's an art, actually. Paul Hardy asks, question please, Mr. King. Can I ask how much does a good GM earn in a year on average? Not Magnus or any number one player, just a good GM. What do you mean by good GM? And do you mean a professional player or someone like me that works in the media? And is it basically I'm a journalist? Somebody wants me to play the bass guitar. Not at the moment. I'm sorry. Tim Morrill asks, okay, question 2. Feel free to ignore if you wish. What do you think of your contemporary's bid to be FIDE president? So this is about Nigel Short running for FIDE president. I think it's a pretty brave move. It's very hard to unseat an incumbent. And in a sense, I would class Makropoulos as an incumbent because he's part of the machine. And I think Nigel is right in the sense that, well, he's not Ilyumzhinov, but he's still part of the establishment. So it will be difficult because Ilyumzhinov somehow has very good contacts with delegates. I wish Nigel well, and I hope he does it. Because I think we need to have a serious chess player, someone who really understands the chess world as a player, as FIDE president. I think it's very important who Nigel chooses in his team. I hope that he gets some good organizers behind him and people that can reach out into the rest of the world, basically. I wouldn't want this to be some kind of Western European or American team. So I hope he picks his team well. But yeah, I hope he's successful, I have to say. Paul Hardy has qualified his question. So you're asking about what is a pro player living on his tournament earnings? I really don't. I really can't say. I don't know. Depends which country. I'm just catching up with everyone on the chat. Wait a second. iPod Disciples asks, is this move partly motivated by the incident where Short was asked for some sort of test while in a complicated position? No, it's nothing to do with that. These issues have been running for years. Ilyam Zhinov has been how long in office? Let's see. In Tromsø, he was 19 years in office, so that's 4 years on. So he's been 23 years in office. I think you need a change of regime. At the moment, FIDE has the basic problem that they can't even get a bank account. This shows the level of corruption that Ilyam Zhinov was responsible for. So, it's a whole load of things. It's nothing to do with something as petty and as personal as some incident that Nigel had. People are saying that Riaz makes the point that Nigel has been very disparaging about certain players. I mean, there was a very famous, sadly notorious comment that Nigel made about Tony Miles. And Nigel is sometimes very forthright with his opinions. But I have a feeling I hope that he moderates things a little bit when he's has responsibility. But yeah, what he said about Tony wasn't very good. But I think that's a very important point. But as I said, I hope that he manages to moderate things. But you have to compare him with the other people running, Ilyam Zhinov and Makropoulos, and just think of the kind of things they've said over the years. That's all I can say. Do you know what? We're running out of time. I was going to show another game, but unfortunately, we're really out of time. So have I got one more puzzle I can show? Maybe. Okay, something really simple. Something really simple, just to say goodbye, basically. Now I'm going to give this as a puzzle, but the person that gets it right, to get it right, you have to put the entire variation in. I'm not going to accept just the first move. So that's going to slow you down. You've got to type the entire variation before I proclaim you the winner. So here goes. Here's your final puzzle. White to move. What are you going to do? Sam Wampa says, haha, the maestro says something really simple. I'll be the judge of that, Daniel. Nice touch. Michael J. Fitch says, I'd rather have someone be forthright than be a backstabbing liar. Snowflakes need to grow up. It's nothing to do with snowflakes. It's about being diplomatic. Well, not just diplomatic, it's just about being polite and kind, actually. Like I said, you've got to get the whole variation. Otherwise, you don't get the prize. No use just putting in one move. You have to explain it. Yes. Terra K has it wrong. PZKW has it wrong. Only one person got it right. That's Graham Jennings. He was the first. Ewan Wilson's got it right. Well done. F6 first is the key. Yeah, not E6. Let me explain that. If you play E6 first, then black does not take it. That wouldn't be too bright, but instead black plays F6. And then you take the pawns and you take this fella. That's the end of that. But the key move is to play F6 first. And when that's taken, you play E6. And then the pawn goes through. Well done. Okay. With that one, I'm going to stop the show. Thanks everyone for watching. We've got Terra K says, bah, it was 50-50. Nice. Very nice. With that, I think I'm going to leave it. Norway Chess is coming up. So I'll be reporting, every day on that. And Sam Wamper says, my judgment, quite tricky. So Norway Chess coming up, and that starts on Monday. Okay, folks, see you later. Thanks a lot. Bye now.